and Joanna. Their official 248 wins that. That's in March. So one thing that I did find interesting, I mean, it's a big question. What are you going to do with Weili? Weili has the makings of a star. And guys, I don't just mean a good fighter. She's the world champion. She's proved that. We've had world champions that had a hard time getting people interested. So, okay, store that away. Move on to Joanna. Joanna is amongst the greatest things to ever happen to women's mixed martial arts. I mean, when she came over, she stormed the scene, and she came with attitude, and she came with a ferociousness, and then she went on and captured a world championships and changed weight class. I mean, Joanna just works. Joanna is incredible. We know that. Weili's got potential. She's not quite there yet. You're not going to stop what you're doing to watch a Weili weigh in. You're not likely to see t-shirts with Weili on her yet, but we see where this can go. So let's compare this to a couple of things. I can remember when numbers started getting reported. I'm talking about fighter pay, guaranteed show, and some of these numbers were reported. And there was such a jealousy at one point because Matt Hughes was getting $55,000 to show and $55,000 to win. And those numbers were insane at that time. Nobody could even touch that. Then when you factored in some of the opponents they gave, I mean, I'm just talking about the jealousy, giving you a time frame, was really high for that. Now, move down the line a decade, all of a sudden Michael Bisping's numbers start getting reported. Matt Hughes was the champion. Michael Bisping was not. Michael Bisping was getting like $450,000. Just this incredible. Everyone's jealous. Oh my gosh, how do I get a deal like that? And Lorenzo and Dana would talk about it. They say, we've never had anybody that created more jealousy and uproar in the back than Bisping's numbers. But you got to understand, from our perspective, when we get Bisping, we get an entire nation, an entire country comes along with this one guy. The reason I bring that up, when you look at Weili, and I'm telling you about the potential that she has, if we were to just use the Bisping example, was it the champion? Was damn good. But was it the champion? But what he was worth and what his power within the industry was, because he represented an entire country. She is now in that spot. And by the way, it's a country that really hasn't had a representation within combat sport. Not just MMA, but also boxing. I'm talking about China. I mean, this is something very special to them. And to get out of the country of China, to be able to compete outside of your country, whether it's the Olympic Games, whether it's the UFC, you have to have government approval. And I don't mean like we do as Americans, government approval. What's that mean? A passport? Oh yeah, stamp, here you go, throw it in the mail. No. The government will come and watch your training. They will send a representative to watch your training. They will then bring in partners. They will watch and make sure before you leave the country to represent the country that you have a good chance of bringing home a medal, gold, silver, or bronze, or you're not leaving. I share that because I think you would probably find that interesting. That's just not the way it is here. But sports are very serious business, government business. And I'm not talking about dollars and revenue. I'm talking about it is true to them. They view their athletes as a representation of their military might. China, Russia, Cuba. They just believe this. It's different. So for her to get that blessing, be able to leave and defend a world championship, I mean, there is something very special going on. And to just tie it in to the Bisping example, she's representing a country. Oh, and by the way, that country has 2 billion people in it. She's coming over with a little bit different narrative. Oddly, here's the narrative that has surprised me. She said, I'm going to finish up my training at Duke Rufus's gym. Now, Duke, who's about the coolest coach you're going to meet, he's great, but he does not come with any ego. If you ever meet Duke Rufus, as great as he is and respected as he is, he doesn't have an ego. So Duke comes out and says, I'm only going to be an assistant. I'm going to be here to assist, but my doors are open to her team. That was cool. I thought I would mention it. What a cool thing for him to say. But a narrative got built on the internet. My own partner, Ryan, asked me, Chael, isn't this a mistake? She's changing something. She became a world champion doing X, Y, and Z. Why should she change? We've seen a history in fighters who have changed. something. Isn't that a mistake? That's just not how I interpreted this. And that is true to the threads on the underground, to the kids at Bloody Elbow. It is true that there is a history of guys who make a significant change, geographically or a camp change, that get a different result. That's not what's happening here. First off, Coach Rufus just said, he made it sound like this was just an acclimation camp. She's going to come out 12, 14 days before, adjust to the time zone, cut some weight a little bit closer to the venue. She's bringing her team, which he went as far as say, I'm just here to assist. My doors are open to her, and that's where this ends. Wherever I fit in, I fit in. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear that she's not changing. She was acclimating. I thought I would point that point out. However, I do think if you just want to have a discussion about it, it is a little bit interesting with the parity in this title fight that you would pin something negative on Weili in that regard, only because, guys, with short-term memories, don't we remember? This is what Joanna did. Joanna is a Polish fighter, by the way, from Poland, by the way, who used to fly in from Poland. That's where she trained. That's where her camp was. That's where her team was. She relocated to Fort Lauderdale. She joined the American top team. She became champion of the world. So I don't know that it's necessarily a fair example when somebody keeps training with the same people, adds new minds, but more importantly, is just in a different, literally, a different piece of real estate. They're not new philosophies. Duke Rufus isn't going to bother her. He's not going to get in her head. He's not even going to study her and go, hey, here's what I see and here's what you need to do. I know Duke Rufus. He will study her. He will see what she does already, and then he might come in and perfect that. He's not going to change her. That's just not what he does. He studies athletes. He doesn't preach a system. He takes what you do. He encourages it. I'm just adding to that because I was very surprised that narrative got started, particularly when it's just an acclimation camp based on the information we have. But secondly, when her opponent did the same thing and got incredible results.